Welcome to this module. We've now come to the Canvas Basics module. Before we get on to JavaScript and Canvas codes for our project, I thought I'd cover some Canvas basics for you. So let's start doing that in this particular lesson. So now, let me quickly teach you some of the basics of Canvas, but I won't be teaching all the Canvas concepts because it's quite a vast subject, so I'll just be teaching you a couple of concepts and couple of lines of code and methods that you can use in our game. Alright? It's a very interesting and easy topic in my opinion, so I'm pretty sure you'll have fun with it. So let's get to it. At the crux of it, you can use Canvas to create canvases. So that's why they are called canvas. Just like the drawing canvases you see artists use in our real world, so you can create canvases on your web pages and you can draw on it. But in this case, we'll be using code to draw on the canvas rather than using a paint brush or a pencil. So that's the difference between canvases of the real world and canvas of HTML. So that's the simplest definition of what a HTML5 canvas is. We've already seen how you can create a drawing canvas in the HTML5 module of the project. If you remember, we used the canvas tag and we also gave them borders in our style.css file. So we covered all of that in the first two modules. So if you want to, you can go back and check them out again. So that part is covered. So because of that, I won't be explaining that now. Alright, so let me quickly, I have a button here. Let me delete that first. So let me quickly create a canvas so we can use it for our examples. So I'll give it an ID of canvas1. This ID can be anything as long as it starts with a underscore or one of those letters. An ID can't start with numbers. The rules are the same as they are for variables of JavaScript. Alright, so I'll give it a height and width as well. So width of 500. You don't have to specify pixels in here because it's automatically taken as pixels. But if you were to specify the height or width in style.css, you have to specify the pixels or percentages, whatever they might be. Okay, so in here you don't have to specify. And then the height is also 500. Let me close the canvas tag. Alright, that's it. So I have a canvas of height and width 500 each. Now let me create a border around it. I'll go to my style.css file and then let me select canvas. Alright, I could either select the canvas as such because this is the only canvas in here, or I could do it like this. I could mention the ID of the canvas so my style.css file knows exactly which canvas I'm referring to, so both work. Alright, if there were more than one canvases, then specifying the ID in here is necessary if you were to have different designs for each canvas. Alright, so border is going to be as usual 1 pixel, solid, black, just a small standard border. So we've already covered how to create borders earlier, so I won't be explaining it now. Now that our canvas is created, all we've left to do is draw on it. So to draw on a canvas, even though you created a canvas in your index.html file, you need to go to your script.js file. So canvas drawings can only be done with JavaScript code. Alright, so all the code has to be written in your script.js file. So there are 3 steps to drawing on a canvas. Let me mention them in comments. So step 1 is finding the canvas you want to draw on. So you want to know which particular canvas your code has to draw on. So for that, you need to find that particular canvas. In our example, we only have one canvas, so finding it is not a problem, but still, even if it was only one, you need to find it so your JavaScript code knows where it is and where it has to draw. Okay, so we already talked about the JavaScript DOM and how it can be used to find HTML elements. We'll be doing the same here to find our canvas as well. We're going to try to find our canvas by using getElementById function. I already taught you how to use that function before, and we're going to be assigning it to a value called canvas. So we're going to be creating a variable first. This particular variable is going to hold our canvas. So this can be anything. I'm just mentioning it as canvas, but it can be anything. It can be it can be canvas1, whatever you want it to be. So in this variable, I'm going to traverse the document and then get the element by its ID and the ID is going to be canvas 1, just like I mentioned here, canvas 1. Alright, and finally I'll end this with a semicolon. Alright, so that's the step for finding your canvas, and that's just one step. We are done with it. Now the step 2 is a newer step for you. This is creating a drawing object. Alright, so this is the drawing object that would be used to draw on your canvas. For example, with respect to real world drawings, you need your hand, that's a tool, and then there's paintbrushes, paint, pencils. There are a ton of tools you can use to draw on the blank canvas. Am I right? So similarly, with HTML5 canvas, you need multiple tools to draw on your canvas, and all of these tools are contained within this particular drawing object. So we are going to be creating the drawing object so we can draw on our canvas. Alright, so we'll be using the getContext function. Let me say getContext. It's a method just like the getElementById method, but in this case the getContext gets our drawing object, where the getElementById got our element based on the ID. Alright, so we'll be using the getContext function to get our drawing object. This will give us the methods and properties and tools we need to draw on our canvas. For example, we'll be using a number of predefined functions to draw our shapes, and in order to make them work, we need to have gotten the getContext object first. Alright, so we already have a ton of other functions and everything. For example, there is a function for drawing circles, for drawing lines, for drawing rectangles, and so on and so forth. But in order to use those functions, you need to have the context object first of all. So that's what we're going to get. Also, we'll actually be getting a 2D object in this case. The drawing context object is going to be a 2D object, since we'll only be dealing with 2D shapes like lines, circles. So we're only dealing with 2D shapes, so we're only going to get a 2D object. So in order to do that, let me first declare a variable. Let me delete this first. So declare a variable that will hold our context object. Just like the canvas variable is holding our canvas element, we need a variable that will hold our context object. So imagine it as a toolbox that has all the paints and brushes. This variable can be anything you want. Alright, it can be context, it can be CTX, which is what I'll be using, it can be CTX1, 2, it can be any variable you want. So then let's get our context, the context of our canvas. So we're going to say canvas, which we already defined here and assigned here, and then we're going to get the context of that canvas. Remember that the C of getContext has to be capitals or else it won't work. And then we're going to be mentioning 2D here because we want a 2D context that draws 2D objects. So that's it. We've gotten our canvas. We've created a drawing object for that canvas. Now, all we have to do is draw on the canvas, which I'll talk about in the next lesson. So see you there.